What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Opendoor. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down what's moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Opendoor's down 5.1%, 754 the low, 814 the high, and 80 million shares being traded. So kind of low volume, but generally when it comes down to today, there hasn't been any news from Opendoor, no SEC filings, nothing really coming out from Kaz. So he only responded to one individual, which kind of signals that there's going to be some expansion coming in the foreseeable future, but nothing really concrete that you need to like stop what you're doing and buy. So a lot of the fear that was started tail end of last week is ultimately rolling over into this week, plus the data that did come out today, which was the New York Empire State Manufacturing Index, which came in at 18.7, a lot higher than the previous of 10.7 and significantly greater than the forecast of 7, does signal that there's a lot of good expansion. Of course, if things are going good based on this data, you don't really need to cut rates. So this is why you did have this drop even further. So now there's a 39.9% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut for the upcoming December 10th meeting. So things aren't really going great for this. And in reality, this was going to be the next big catalyst for the broader market, rate cuts. So you kind of have that. At the same time, you have Trump, it looks like, kind of stirring some stuff with Venezuela, so we'll have to kind of wait and see how that does play out. But nonetheless, the market's kind of just a little bit jittery right now. A couple articles coming out associated to Opendoor and the latest 13Fs. So you do see a lot of good strings of buying. So all these green ones right here are brand new positions. So a lot of institutions did recently buy. Keep in mind, all these 13Fs are transactions that did take place within Q3. So they're not just buying right now or yesterday, or I guess Friday. It was all done in Q3. So just kind of be aware of that. So good institutional transactions. Aside from that though, you're not really seeing too much happen coming from shorts. So at the time of doing this video, they are increasing 858,000 shares. But given how active Opendoor is today, they're not doing really a drop in the bucket. So it's nothing really crazy. 21.69% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 143.71 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average 1.09%. One interesting thing I wanted to bring up though is I see more and more people talking about this week being a squeeze for Opendoor. And as I brought up in my video over the weekend, there is a couple big catalysts coming out, and one is FOMC minutes, so that's coming out Wednesday roughly around 2 o'clock. You'll also have Nvidia's earnings and also Walmart's. I don't think really anyone's talking about Walmart's earnings, but depending on what they give for guidance, that could really signal more consumer strength. But a lot of people are saying because of all of those, Opendoor is going to squeeze. So that's kind of interesting. So what's your general thoughts on that in the comments below? Short score 64.178. So the higher the number, the higher the likelihood of a squeeze happening. So I don't know. I personally don't really see Opendoor being a squeeze. Maybe back in technically like when it was starting to really move higher back in July, maybe. But I think right now people are investing based on the fundamentals of Opendoor. Even Eric, as much as I don't really like the individual, which from the get-go he's been kind of all over the place, never really focused, even though he was trying to be a roaring kitty type of individual, he's already jumped ship, kind of talking on many other different stocks. So right now you don't really have any hype person aside from Kaz, but he's kind of gone head down and just working, which I don't blame him. But nonetheless, shorts aren't really doing too much. Looking at the options, 19 million in calls, 5.1 in puts, grand total of 24.1 million so far. So that kind of is on the low end. So for instance, Friday, you did see 49.7, 69.7, 52 million. So it's still relatively low in comparison to what it was. It was getting like triple digit. So 100 million, 200 million. So a lot of big money was definitely getting in. Nowadays, I think just like I said, people are investing based on the fundamentals. And honestly, I think given the circumstances and all the good catalysts that's coming out for the real estate market, such as the 50-year mortgage, I know some people don't really like that, but that potential rate cut most likely in January now, not the December one, those will be a good catalyst for consumers. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see. But aside from that, from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be kind of between that 850 and 9. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 7. So kind of have a little bit more back and forth. These are some of the transactions that did occur so far on the secondary market above $100,000. Biggest one is 2.48. So as soon as the market did open, you had institutions selling, which kind of escalated the initial push lower. But aside from that, it does seem to be somewhat evenly divided between buying and selling. So it's algorithmic trading. That's where most of the volume is coming from, and it's just feeding off of the broader market's negativity. And this is one thing I don't really like about algorithmic trading, because it is extremely powerful. It can move almost any stock, but it's hollow. So as soon as big money decides to turn that off, it usually does kind of recovers, right? So I think in general, if you do believe in Opendoor, take advantage of these kind of sell-offs, because largely just a lot of fear, unjustified fear, arguably. These are some of the transactions occurring on the dark pool above $100,000. Dark pool is often enough used by shorts and hedge funds, and since shorts aren't doing too much, it is fair to assume that most of these transactions are linked to hedge funds. Right now, with it at 763, it is trading right on this S2, so 762 is going to be a key support. If that does not hold, then you'll see most likely a consolidation, probably not exactly today, but maybe over the next couple of trading days, to 720. Flip side, 788, and then 831 is going to be the next strong target / resistance point. When it came down to my weekend video, I was somewhat praising Opendoor for actually being above that 50-day moving average. Today, regrettably, it is breaking below that, and also the 10-day moving average. So I think a lot of that is just, like I said, being artificially done, and you can see that through the flow right here. So a lot of big kind of algorithmic selling going on, so a lot of the smaller transactions. So today I think is not really justified, but still at the end of the day, it is really breaking below that 50 and also 10-day moving average. Because of all the recent price action, it is breaking off of the overbought status, so it is somewhat neutral-ish. Still a little bit high potentially, but that also could be one attributing factor why you're seeing AI really push Opendoor down. Aside from that, you don't really see that much in articles really talking about Opendoor or anything. No new analyst ratings, so it is just pretty much at the mercy of the broader market. So let me know your thoughts on Opendoor. Do you still believe in it? Are you buying it? And for those of you that do believe in Opendoor, as I've mentioned in the past, I would recommend you to look at options. So for instance, if you feel that it's going to be going to, let's say, 850 by January, throwing those dates out and the number, that would work out to be about 11% increase on the common stock, but you could make 24.38 on a long call. Or even if you think it's going to go to 10, then you can make pretty much 99% on a long call, 30% on the common stock. So if you do believe in Opendoor, then look at buying a call. Or you know what, in general, I think the moral story is everyone to make money. So even if you do feel that Opendoor is going to go down, let's say to $5, you can make 83.7% on a put versus 31% on the common stock. So there's a lot of different ways that you can play options, bullish, bearish, and you can make a lot of money. So definitely take a look at that, in my opinion, but you guys do whatever floats your boat. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point and bangers. So I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to kind of pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.